What if we told you that one of the most famous buildings in the world was actually the result of a colossal mistake? Why is the Leaning Tower of Pisa tilted? How much is it actually leaning? Can we stabilize this iconic structure, or are we just waiting for it to take a permanent nap? And what did engineers get so hilariously wrong during its construction? Welcome to Ainy Zany Explorers. Today, we're about to embark on a journey to a world-famous architectural wonder that seems to defy gravity. A tower that was never supposed to lean, and yet it became one of the most iconic structures on Earth. Today, explorers, we're going beyond the selfies and tourist traps to reveal the untold secrets of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So, here's the first twist. The Leaning Tower of Pisa wasn't designed to lean at all. When construction began in 1173, the plan was to build a straight, towering bell tower for Pisa's cathedral. But by the time they reached the third floor, something went very wrong. Turns out, the architects didn't quite do their homework on the soil. The ground beneath the tower, it's made of soft clay, fine sand, and seashells. Not exactly a solid foundation. The tower started to tilt almost immediately, and guess what? The builders had no idea how to fix it. Here's where it gets crazier. Instead of stopping construction, they just kept building, and no one expected the tower to survive. In fact, Pisa's enemies at the time used to mock them, calling the tower a symbol of failure. But here's a twist you didn't see coming. The wars between Pisa and its rivals actually saved the tower. Construction stopped for nearly 100 years, not because they wanted to figure out the lean, but because Pisa was too busy fighting its neighbors. That pause allowed the soil beneath the tower to settle, and when builders resumed in the 13th century, they tried to correct the lean by making one side taller than the other. It didn't work. In fact, the lean got worse. By the time the tower was completed in 1372, it was leaning at a terrifying 4 degrees.
Let's shift gears for a moment and talk about one of the coolest legends surrounding the tower. It's said that in the late 1500s, the famous scientist Galileo Galilei dropped 2 objects of different weights from the top of the tower to prove that gravity affects all objects equally. But did it really happen? Historical evidence is actually pretty thin. While Galileo's experiment sounds amazing, it may just be one of history's most enduring myths. What we do know is that the Leaning Tower has been the backdrop for some of the greatest scientific debates of all time. By the 20th century, the lean had become a serious problem. At one point, the tower was tilting by a staggering 5.5 degrees, just a few inches away from toppling over. That's right, there was a time when Pisa's biggest attraction was almost its biggest disaster. Engineers from all over the world were brought in to save the tower. They tried everything from adding weights to the base to freezing the soil. But the real game changer? In 1990, they removed 70 metric tons of soil from underneath the tower, which finally stabilized the lean. Today, it's fixed at a 4-degree tilt, safe enough to stand for at least another 300 years. Crisis averted. Now, here's something that might surprise you. The Leaning Tower wasn't always so beloved. For centuries, people saw it as a symbol of architectural failure. It wasn't until the 19th century that the world started to see the tower as a masterpiece of imperfection. And that's the beauty of it. What began as a colossal mistake became one of the most famous buildings on Earth. Today, the Leaning Tower of Pisa attracts over 5 million visitors every year, all of them eager to take that classic holding up the tower photo. So what's next for Pisa's Leaning Wonder? Engineers have stabilized the tilt, but don't worry, there are no plans to straighten it. Without the lean, it just wouldn't be the same. It's like trying to straighten out a piece of modern art. The beauty is in the imperfection. So next time you visit Pisa, remember, you're not just looking at an architectural oddity. You're standing in front of a monument to human resilience, creativity, and a happy accident that turned into one of the world's most beloved landmarks. Thanks for exploring the Leaning Tower of Pisa with us, explorers. Remember, mistakes can turn into wonders, So keep exploring, keep discovering, and keep leaning into adventure.